Hello, my name is Kelly, and I'm an analyst for Santa Cruz County Parks, Open Space, and Cultural Services. And in partnership with the Office of Response, Recovery, and Resilience, I want to thank you for your interest in the Measure Q grant program. Today's webinar is focused on walking you through the inaugural Measure Q grant cycle for fiscal year 2025 and 2026. Here's what we will cover today. We'll start with a high-level overview of Measure Q, including why the grant program exists and how it's structured. We'll then walk through eligible applicants, project types, how projects are evaluated, and the overall application timeline and process. So what is Measure Q? Measure Q was passed by Santa Cruz County voters in November 2024. It's a special parcel tax dedicated to environmental protection, climate resilience, wildfire risk reduction, and parks. The measure generates approximately $7.5 million annually, and those funds are guided by a 5-year vision plan and are focused on 3 core outcomes: protecting drinking water and watersheds, reducing wildfire risk and improving forest health, and expanding access to parks and natural areas with an emphasis on equity, particularly in South County. About $2.5 million each year is dedicated specifically to this competitive grant program. This grant program is designed to serve several important purposes. First, it provides a local match that can strengthen both state and federal grant applications. Second, it supports both smaller community scale projects and larger, high impact efforts. Third, it prioritizes projects that deliver multiple benefits and are climate resilient. Transparency and public accountability are core to Measure Q, and the county fully expects to refine this program over time based on community feedback and lessons learned from this first cycle. And as this is our inaugural year, we are going to be learning with you. The Measure Q grant program consists of 2 tiers designed to support both emerging community-based initiatives and larger scale projects with substantial countywide or regional impact. Both tiers are competitive but serve different purposes. Tier 1 is the Community Catalyst Grant, which ranges from $5,000 to $50,000. Tier 2 is the Community Impact Grant, which ranges from $50,000 to $500,000. We will walk you through each tier in more detail next. Tier 1 grants are designed to support pilot projects, new ideas, and early stage work. This includes community education and stewardship, planning efforts, community building, and smaller restoration projects that can set the stage for future investment. Grant awards range from $5,000 to $50,000, and the typical grant term is up to 12 months, with extensions possible if needed. Tier 2 community impact grants supports more complex, multi-benefit projects such as large habitat restoration, fuel reduction along critical wildfire interfaces, watershed enhancement work, or capital improvements that expand community access. Tier 2 community impact grants also incorporate 2 dedicated annual funding allocations established by the Measure Q Act, at least $600,000 for projects on the county's largest conservation easement supporting forest health, fire resilience, natural habitat restoration, and public access, referred to as the San Vicente Redwoods, and at least $600,000 for up to 3 grants benefiting residents in the Pajaro Valley, including areas within 1 mile of the Watsonville Slough System, Pinto Lake, and the Pajaro River and its tributaries. These dedicated allocations ensure that Measure Q resources directly address the county's highest priority landscapes facing wildfire vulnerability, flooding risk, and water quality challenges. So who is eligible to apply? Eligible applicants include public agencies, nonprofit organizations with 501c3 status, and tribes. Projects must occur within Santa Cruz County or clearly benefit county residents, watersheds, or ecosystems. All projects must align with the Measure Q goals and the 5-year vision plan. Eligible project types are intentionally broad and reflect the range of outcomes Measure Q is meant to support. Examples include watershed health and water quality improvements, wildfire risk reduction and the forest management, habitat restoration and wildlife connectivity, parks and trail improvements, and community education, stewardship, and planning activities. Now let's take a look how funding policies will be utilized. Standard reimbursements are available for all grants and must be supported by documentation. Typical reimbursement will be a net of 30 days upon receipt of request and documentation acceptance. Reimbursement requests may be submitted no more frequently than monthly. And advanced funding requests are allowed towards organizations that are nonprofit, community-based 501c3 organizations. Tier 1 grantees may request an advance of up to 25% of the award to support project initiation, while Tier 2 grantees may request an advance of up to 15% on a case-by-case basis. And although no match is required, all applicants are encouraged to document financial or leveraged fund contributions such as volunteer hours, donated materials and services, or partner support to strengthen competitiveness. Nonprofit organizations may include up to 15% of the award as indirect costs, while other entities may request indirect costs with justification. Indirect costs are organizational expenses not directly associated with the grant project or program delivery. Staff overhead costs associated with this project or program delivery are not included in this percentage. So how will applications be evaluated? Applications will be evaluated on a 100-point rubric. There are core themes across both tiers that the applications will be evaluated on. These include alignment with the Measure Q vision plan, community benefit, feasibility and readiness, partnerships and leveraging, budget clarity and cost effectiveness, and there will also be bonus points that could be awarded for strong partnerships or efficient use of funds. Now let's take a look at how each tier will be evaluated individually. The Tier 1 Community Catalyst Grant is designed for smaller, early stage, or community-driven projects, and the scoring rubric reflects that. Reviewers are looking less for perfection and more for clarity, alignment, and realistic scope. The alignment with the Measure Q vision plan is the most heavily weighted category for Tier 1. Reviewers are asking, does your project clearly connect to Measure Q priorities in the vision plan? Strong applications explicitly name which Measure Q goals they support, such as water quality, wildfire resilience, habitat protection, or park access. You do not need to solve everything, but you should be very clear about what problem you are addressing and why it matters locally. If a reviewer cannot easily see the Measure Q connection in the first few paragraphs, points are likely lost here. Next up, we have the community benefit. This category focuses on who benefits and how. Reviewers look for meaningful public access, community recreation, ecological benefit, or wildfire resilience outcomes. Strong applications describe specific communities served, especially underserved or priority areas. It helps to explain how people will experience the benefit, not just what work will be done. After that, we've got feasibility. Reviewers are looking for projects that are realistically can be completed within the requested funding and within the grant term. This includes a clear scope, achievable timeline, defined deliverables, and adequate staffing or partnerships. You do not need full design or permits for Tier 1, but you do need a credible plan. Next, we have innovation or capacity building. This category recognizes new ideas, pilot efforts, or projects that build capacity for future Measure Q work. This might include testing a new approach, building community partnerships, or developing plans that lead to larger projects later. Reviewers value learning and long-term impact, even at a small scale. And lastly, bonus points. Bonus points are awarded for strong partnerships, volunteer engagement, leveraged funds, or particularly efficient use of Measure Q dollars. These points are not required to be competitive, but they do help differentiate strong proposals. Tier 2 Community Impact Grants supports larger, more complex projects, and the rubric reflects higher expectations for readiness, partnerships, and long-term impact. Alignment with the Measure Q vision plan remains critical for Tier 2, but it is balanced with other readiness factors. Reviewers are looking for strong advancement of vision plan priorities, such as watershed health, wildfire resilience, habitat restoration, climate adaptation, or community access. Strong applications clearly articulate why this project matters at a regional or county-wide scale. Community benefit. Tier 2 projects should demonstrate clear and measurable public benefit. This includes recreation, access, environmental health, wildfire risk reduction, or watershed benefits. Reviewers value specificity. Who benefits, how many people, and over what time frame? Wildlife and environmental benefit. This category focuses on tangible improvements to water, habitat, or climate resilience. Strong applications explain outcomes, not just activities. If your project includes monitoring or measurable indicators, this helps strengthen scores here. Project feasibility and readiness. Reviewers assess if the project is technically sound and ready to move forward. This includes methodology, staffing, and permitting status if possible or applicable, and achievable milestones. Tier 2 does not require construction-ready projects, but there should be a clear path to implementation. Partnerships and collaboration. Partnerships matter more at the Tier 2 level. Reviewers look for meaningful collaboration, not just letters of support. Multi-agency coordination, community partners, and shared implementation roles all strengthen applications. Budget, cost effectiveness, and leveraging. Budgets should be logical, well justified, and aligned with the scope. Leverage funds are not required, but they do strengthen competitiveness. Reviewers look for confidence that Measure Q dollars are being used efficiently. Long-term maintenance and monitoring. This category looks beyond the grant term. Reviewers want to know how benefits will be sustained, whether through maintenance plans, stewardship commitments, or post-grant monitoring. Even a brief, realistic plan can score well here. And lastly, bonus points. Bonus points recognize exceptional readiness, regional significance, strong leverage, or long-term stewardship commitments. These points reward projects that go beyond baseline expectations. What's the review? So what does the review and approval process look like? Applications are first reviewed for completeness. Then they are scored by external reviewers and then evaluated by county staff. Funding recommendations are then reviewed by the Citizens Oversight Advisory Board, also known as the COAB. Final grant awards are approved by the Santa Cruz County Board of Supervisors. And here's a high-level timeline for this inaugural grant cycle. Applications opened in late January, and the application window closes in early March, March 6th at 11:59 p.m. Reviewers and scoring occur in March and April, with recommendations going to the Oversight Board in May. Final awards are expected to be approved in June. As you prepare your application, there are several resources available to support you. These include the Measure Q grant webpage, the grant guidelines, and the Measure Q vision plan. County staff are also available to answer questions, and you can reach us at the Measure Q email address listed here. That's measureq@santacruzcountyca.gov. I want to thank you again for your time today, and we're here to help applicants succeed, so don't hesitate to reach out. We hope to hear from you.